Hey, welcome to my podcast. This is the first episode, and in this episode, I talk about my 2018, what went well, what didn't go so well, and my plans for 2019. So keep listening. Hey everyone, welcome to the very first episode of my new podcast, the Lost in Life podcast. Now, let me just start off by addressing one, why I'm creating this podcast, and two, the choice behind the name. So for those of you who have followed me for a while, you're following me either in my fan group on Facebook or you're a part of my YouTube channel and you're on the community tab. I often post questions in there to find out a bit more about the content that I'm making. And one of the questions I asked you was, I'm about to start this new podcast. What should I call it? And we had quite a few different names. And one of them was the Lost in Life podcast. Because here's the thing, when I was thinking about the name, I thought, yeah, let's have something aspirational. Let's have something that we want to aspire towards. So, we had ideas like my life, my purpose, following my purpose, or a free mind. And these are all really great names. But I decided, why don't we go the opposite way? Why don't we focus on the problem? Because if you look at a lot of the personal development and self-improvement arena as it is today, it's very success focused. It's very much looking at the people who've made it. And the thing is that you miss so many lessons when you're not looking at the 10 people who failed to become an entrepreneur, or the 10 days you had that were really boring and monotonous and frustrating and lonely. And there's an even bigger group of people out there who they've never even heard the word personal development or self-improvement. They're not reading books. They haven't heard of Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich, or The Alchemist, or even The Secret, which is massively popular today. So that was one of the reasons I decided to focus on being lost in life. So if you're someone who currently feels lost, stuck, confused, without direction, this podcast is for you. But if you also feel you have your purpose, you have moved along the way, and according to the quiz I've created, you're, a master, it's also for you, because we all have lost days. And that's what I wanted to focus on in this podcast. And one of the main reasons I wanted to create it was also, I wanted to actually have a chance to connect with you guys more, with the followers on my YouTube channel, because that's the only place I'm going to publish this series, is just on YouTube alone. Now, I'm active on a few different on a few different platforms. You got Facebook, Instagram, email, you've got YouTube, of course. So this year, one of the things that I really decided and committed to is actually just to focus on one, and to do it really, really well, because as you guys know, it's very difficult to manage multiple things at one time. I'm busy. I have 2 businesses that I run, which I'll talk about today. And yeah, the most growth I've ever seen has been by picking one platform, the platform that I like, the platform that I relate to. And I've had the most growth, and it has always been YouTube. And there's a couple of things that, I really like about the platform. If you go onto Facebook, I find it's quite a noisy environment. It's quite distracting now. There's a lot of things that have been obviously in the media. There are some good things to it, and there are also some bad, just like with YouTube. But I really like the format of YouTube and the community that you can build, because this is only going to be my core fans, my core supporters of what I'm trying to achieve, what I'm trying to do, and people who really resonate with the ideas that I believe in too. Because ultimately, this stuff is not about me. It's about, building your purpose, building a meaningful lifestyle, and becoming what I like to call a social reformer. And I didn't coin that word, but that's my life mission, is to create a generation of social reformers in everything that I do. I'm an educator, a teacher. I love learning. I love sharing what I learn. And that's why I'm here. So that's where we're starting with this podcast. I'm going to be releasing new episodes every Sunday at 6 o'clock UK time. And what we're going to do is I'm going to start off with a triple bonanza, and I'm going to release 3 episodes, which I'm recording right now. And then we're going to go into some interviews because 1, I'm going to get tired of hearing my own voice. But 2, there's so much that we can learn from some of the people out there. And there are some voices I'm going to bring on that you already know. And there are some voices that I'm going to bring on that you don't know. And equally, there are some voices that I want to bring on that I don't know. So if you're listening right now, as you're driving, as you're on your commute, you're cooking food, whatever it might be, tell me in the comments below. First of all, 2 questions. Number 1, how did you find my channel? Number 2, who should I have on this podcast that I can interview to find out their journey and how they got to where they are now? Because yes, I want to do the interviews and find out, how did you become successful? What's your morning routine like? All those things. But equally, I want to know, have you ever felt anxious? Have you ever felt depressed? Have you ever felt lost in life? And how did you manage that? Because like I said at the beginning, a few minutes ago, there's so many people out there who feel the same way. And I think when you are full of no commitment, when you have no commitment, any distraction will take over and take over the course and trajectory that your life is going in. I've said many times in videos to all of you that are listening, if you're not a cause, somebody else is. Someone else is going to take control. So we have to think about, am I a cause or am I an effect of the world around me? Am I creating or am I being created? Who's really in control here? Is it me or is it Facebook? Is it what randomly pops up on my newsfeed? Is it how I feel in the moment? And your emotions are random. All kinds of things can happen at any given point. And that's the difference between the amateur and the pro. The pro does things and shows up no matter what. Whereas the amateur, they look at the time and think, I'm tired. I don't want to go to the gym today. I don't feel like reading. I don't feel like getting the job done. So that's a bit about the podcast. And, without further ado, if this is the first podcast or any kind of content you ever heard from me, and I say this with total humility, Google me. But the short intro, who I am, what I'm up to, and I'm going to talk about myself today. Actually, we're going to break down my 2018. I'm going to talk about my yearly review. But I am a coach, an accredited life coach, and I say this proudly because there's a lot of life coaches out there. Not all of them are qualified. Be careful. Sometimes they do more harm than good. I've done 5 different diplomas, continuous CPD over the last 6 years in being a professional coach and an NLP practitioner. So I run a coaching business. I run this YouTube channel. I'm a TEDx speaker. You can go check out my TED Talk, which I definitely want to do again because I have new ideas I want to bring to the table. I'm a writer and I'm also a social entrepreneur. I'm the CEO of a organization in the UK called Revolution Hive, which equips young people for life beyond the classroom. And then there's Inner Compass, which I think you will all be more familiar with, which is my coaching company. I run an online course called Inner Compass for 25 to 40-year-olds who, I say 25 to 40, really the margin is much bigger. So even if you're 18 all the way up to 50, the stuff will work for you. It just so happens that 25 to 40 is the main demographic I've focused on so far. But it's a 6-week course for people who feel lost, stuck, and confused in life and want a proven way to find their purpose. And that's something that I launched in 2018. And today, I'm going to talk about what I achieved in 2018, what didn't go to plan, and what I learned. Like, how did my year go? And what do I want to do next? Like, where am I going? So I thought the best place to go over this, and you can read the written version on my website. If you go to keshavbhatt.com and click on the blog section, you will see my yearly review. There's only 2 posts up there right now. There'll definitely be more as the year goes on. But you can read the written version then. I'll start off by saying, this is something I've done since 2011. I've sat down and every year written a long piece on how my year went, because when you're going through the year, and I know this with 2019 already, is you very quickly get distracted by what is happening in the day-to-day. You get lost in the dirt, as Gary Vaynerchuk would say, and you forget the big picture of where you're actually trying to go. And actually, full disclosure and disclaimer here, one of the weak areas that I've worked on last year in 2018, and I'm maintaining this year because the work is not done, is not switching lanes too much, like just sticking to one thing. And one of the things that I've discovered from being around other people who are far smarter, more disciplined, and prosperous, successful than me, is as you go further along the path, the external noise increases. Is something I've noticed so much during the course of my own career as an entrepreneur, as a social entrepreneur, as a coach, as a YouTuber, that you get more and more people contact you, get more opportunities. But actually, if you're going to succeed, your skill is not in saying yes to more things. It's in saying no to more things and doubling down on your yeses. So you have to create an even greater distinction between your hell yes 10 out of 10 things, like I really want to do this, and anything less. And that includes, by the way, a 9 or an 8 out of 10. And it's really hard to spot the difference, like really hard. And only you can know this distinction. There's opportunities that I get right now through YouTube, for example, for collaborations that I won't do because I don't want to talk about that product. I don't endorse it. And I don't want to even mention the name, or I don't want to mention this influencer. I don't want to, promote those things. I only want to promote the things that I really enjoy, that I really believe that is going to help all of you. So as you go further along the journey, this is really important. And yearly reviews, they help you to take a picture of your entire year. Who was I this year? What kind of person was I? Where was I weak this year? In my character, in my habits? And what can I improve on? What do I need to maintain? Because sometimes it's not about doing anything differently. It's just about consistently doing the same thing. If you go to some of the first videos on my channel, you'll see an interview with a UK rapper called Akala, who's a lot more popular today. And, he's a good example of the same stuff he was saying then, 10 years ago, he's saying now. It's consistent. He's doing the same stuff. Releases an album, does a UK tour. Yes, he's diversified. Yes, he's evolved as an artist, of course. But the point I'm making is he stayed consistent. He stayed true to what it was that he was trying to achieve. And by doing a yearly review, you're able to take perspective on your life. Like, what direction am I going in? Because only dead fish go with the flow. Only dead fish go with the flow. Just let that sink in for a second. So it's important to have this anchor, and the yearly review really helps you to stay on track. Now, there are, I believe, 5 parts to my yearly review. Oh, there's 4 parts. My apologies. And we're going to go through them one at a time. And I'm going to tell you, my thoughts, the main lessons, my main takeaways, things that I want to share with all of you. And I guess before we go into it, the general summary is 2018 was a year I learned to narrow down and focus on one thing, like I mentioned. And I set up a personal brand, which you will have seen by now. The new branding, the new logo, my new website, my course. Because up until this point, I've only been known as the CEO of Revolution Hive, because that's my big mission in life, to tackle the education curriculum and the holes that it leaves, the stuff you don't learn in preparation for life. But along the way, I've built up a small community of people, all of you that are listening right now, 15 minutes into this podcast. And I resisted it for a long time. But this has really been the year of regaining my own voice. And I think you've seen that with my activity on the channel, the videos that I've been posting. And it's really the year that has taught me what to allocate my thoughts to. You know, hacking away the inessentials and just trusting that I don't need anything new. I don't need a new system. I don't need a new way of doing things. I just need consistency in my hell yeses. Now, you know, it sounds very simple and basic, but the tricky part is once you have a routine, giving absolute faith and certainty to that. And that's what we call conviction. Because along the way, you're going to have potholes, distractions, doubts, fears, relationships are going to come and go. People are going to come and go. You know, people may pass away, like big things are going to happen, but you have to still stay on track. And the further and deeper that I go, the more I'm developing this skill and realizing that sometimes, you know, it's not about how fast you learn. It's about how deep the roots of your understanding go. And it's as much as I am the most eager and committed student, I've also learned, you know, like I'm ready. I'm ready. I know before anybody else what level I'm playing at now. I don't need any validation. I don't need a number of views. I don't need subscribers. But internally, that click, that conviction has happened. And now it's just a case of staying patient, staying focused, and continuing to learn. So the goal for 2019, before we go into these 4 sections, is hold on tight to the wise little whisper that's beating inside me, and ignore, you know, the people who are ready to sell you things, who are ready to take you on to their agenda, and maintaining, like I say, being a cause and not an effect. Okay, so section 1, I'm going to take a look at, and I've broken this up into the core parts of my life, things that are important to me. Now, I really like simplicity, so I just kept it to 4. But I could have had 6, I could have had 5, I could have had 7. So as you're listening to me, you know, I'd encourage you, even now in February when this podcast comes out, I released my yearly review in December, but it's not too late for you to do your own. And it doesn't need to be as epic or detailed as mine, but do what works for you and really focus on 3 questions. What went well? What could have been better? And what next? And what I'd like to do is focus on these 4 sections. So the first section is education and writing. Now, learning is really important to me because I am sharing so much with all of you. So I take my education very seriously, not just for that reason, but also because I want to make sure that I'm growing as an individual. And for me, as I'm getting more and more developed in my reading experience, I'm really loving reading now. It's something that I find myself getting bored sometimes of Netflix or of watching something because I'm just thinking, yeah, but this book could really be benefiting me right now. And the big hack, if you're someone who struggles to read and you're not reading at all, or you're dabbling in your reading goals, one thing that I would really recommend is try not to view it as reading. View it as I'm spending time with that author. So if I look on my bookshelf right now, I can see William McCaskill, Felicity Lawrence, I can see Susie Orman, I can see Bev James, Sigmund Freud, Richard Dawkins, Paul Rusesabagina, hope I'm saying his name correctly, and Rumi is another voice on my bookshelf. And these are all authors who think about what it takes to write a book. You have to sit down for years sometimes, plan out everything you know, organize it into convenient chapters that make sense for somebody who's never heard of this topic or story before, and then edit, write. And that process can take years. So the kind of person who writes a book, they naturally have a more focused mind than most people, like as a rule of thumb. So for me, when I'm reading, I don't see it as I'm reading. I see it as I have a 1 hour meeting with Khalil Gibran right now. I have a 1 hour meeting with Malcolm X, with Derek Sivers, with Paulo Coelho, whoever it is that you're reading, especially if it's non-fiction. And if it's fiction, it's a great escape. It's a great way to build your creative muscle, to build your imagination. I remember reading the Harry Potter books. They were page turners for me. I couldn't put the book down. So my goal in 2018 was to again read 30 books. Now I've been doing this for a couple of years now. I read between 30 to 50. I found 30 is the sweet spot for me because I'm actually able to read the entire book, take notes while I read, and then turn those notes into a review, which I then post onto my Goodreads profile, so that instead of me writing it on paper or putting it on Google Drive or Evernote or something like that, it's there at any time. I can access it at any time. And I can just look up, hey, what did, Grant Cardone say about this thing here? Go to my notes and bam, it's there. And also, I just like the transparency. I like knowing that a lot of people who follow me on Goodreads, for example, they follow me just because of my Goodreads profile, my recommendations. And to this point, I've never recommended a book to anyone that hasn't helped them. And I like that because often I get asked by a lot of you, what books do you recommend? What books should I read? But really the question is not what books do I think you should read? The question is, what do you want to work on next? And that's the difference, everyone, between someone who's reading for the vanity and someone who's reading because they really love a subject and a topic is when you start to learn because you start to, choose your books based on your own self-awareness of what you need to learn. So for me this year in 2018, I really wanted to focus on sales and marketing, but I wanted to maintain a little bit of spirituality and mindset work. So I was reading a lot of books by Grant Cardone, by people who are online marketers. Tony Robbins was in there, Sir Ronald Cohen. But I also had Dalai Lama in there. I also had the Bhagavad Gita in there. I also had books about essentialism by, Greg McKeown. I also had Ryan Holiday in there so that I had that balance. And again, I managed to hit that goal. And you can see one of the things that I've talked about in my review is that, again, I got distracted along the way. There are a couple of books which I read, Awaken Your Alpha, Super Teams, Influence, that were recommended to me by other people. I read for, a kind of random reason as opposed to what I'd set out to do. And they didn't really resonate. They didn't really do much for me. Now, that's not necessarily a criticism of those books. It's just not what I needed at the time. And I think I got caught up at those times, in those months, in reading because I felt like I had to read those rather than just saying, no, these are the books that I've chosen. Just stick to your reading list. Stick to your curriculum that you've created for yourself. Forget about other people. One of them, Awaken Your Alpha. The author is a friend of mine. He wanted me to review the book. He wanted me to talk about it on the channel. But it was a 3 out of 5 for me, guys. And I was open about that. And I read it because I felt obliged to, because he'd asked me to. But actually I realized, what? Those 2 weeks that I spent reading that, it is just 2 weeks, yes, but I could have been rereading Be Obsessed or Be Average. I could have been rereading Second Bounce of the Ball, which to me is the entrepreneurship Bible. Like, if you're trying to run a business and you're trying to also make a difference, like, that's the book to read. And there's over 10 years worth of experience in that one book. I've read it 3 times and I'm still feeling like I need to reread my notes on that. I need to go through that, do a practice paper, write an essay, make a video about it, do a book review, which I'm going to do, just to ingrain those lessons. So that's the difference between the dabbler and the master. Now, by the way, as I talk about these personalities, the shipwrecked castaway, the dabbler, and the master, these are broadly speaking, the 3 mindsets or personalities that I see most of you fitting into. And a huge chunk of you are dabblers, a huge chunk. And if you want to find out which one you are, just go to keshavbhatt.com/quiz and you can take the quiz and find out for yourself. And that's the difference between a reader who is a dabbler and a reader who is a master. A master reads based on their own self-education. A dabbler reads based on what is popular, what some influencer has recommended, what looks good on the front cover. And yeah, you might start there, but everybody's learning journey is different. Another example is I did a course this year on inequality. A 12-week course at a university level. And that allowed me to learn about things like the history of racism in America, the history of feminism in the UK. And these are things that I want to delve deeper into on my channel, because when we talk about personal development, yes, you need to develop yourself, but I also believe fundamentally it is about you, it is about your mindset, but equally there are some of us who face disadvantage. I know when I get on the train sometimes and I have a baseball cap on, I have a big beard and a big bag, I get funny looks, guys. Like, that happens. And when I've been younger, I've been racially abused and attacked. So those are disadvantages that I face. Now, do I digest that and make it, evidence or a supporting belief for me to become a victim? No, because that would make it more difficult for me. But it's important, and this is a big takeaway for me from the course, that a lot of our ideas of gender and race are not our own, but they're imprints of historical tropes that were set in place by an oppressor. If you look at the history of racism in the USA, even in the UK, worldwide, it extends across those things. It's really helped me to understand the way we see certain demographics, certain groups of people is based on those things. And these are things that I see come up in my coaching sessions. The difference between coaching somebody who is an Indian woman at the age of 24 and in her first job and how she has to behave versus working with a white male is very different. So it's important to understand these. And again, this is why I take pride in my learning, because these things help. They help me to empathize. They help me to empower all of you even more. And I like my favorite quote. I have many, but one of them is, you have 2 eyes, 2 ears, and 1 mouth for a reason. You should use them in that proportion. So I want to absorb twice as much as I share on YouTube, on Instagram, on Facebook, or in any other platform I use. So that was my reading and learning journey. Okay, let's talk about content, because I put that under this bracket too. Now, the YouTube channel grew, and I was actually able to release, for those of you who haven't heard it, if you go to SoundCloud, you can see it. It's also on the channel. There's a playlist called Dead Roots. Now, Dead Roots is a mixtape I released in 2016 when I was also making daily videos for the old subscribers, or the day ones, as you would say, would remember. And it's a mix of essays, speeches, inspirational music, and content, because I wanted to create something that was a bit more fun, a bit different, and a bit more thought-provoking. So my intention was to always create videos for each of these tracks. There are, I think, 12 tracks in total. I may be wrong. Go and check them out. soundcloud.com/KeshavBX. You can take a listen. YouTube.com/KeshavBX, which is where you're listening to this. If you go onto the channel homepage, you will see that playlist and you can check those out. So, there were a few that I wanted to create. One of them, one bronze coin, which interestingly did really, really well on Facebook. I think it has tens of thousands of views now, had quite a few hundred shares, whereas on YouTube it didn't do as well yet. And there's an interesting thing I learned there, which was about the balance of creativity, making content that I know may go viral versus making content that I like making. Because creating free content is hard. I don't get like hundreds of pounds, thousands of pounds of money from making these videos. It's free. And I think as an audience, we become accustomed to consuming free content. And so the bar is higher. If you want to get paid from anything, you have to provide more value. And you're competing with people who have big production companies behind them, 3 cameramen, 3 editors. They're using After Effects. They're using virtual effects. They're using all green screens, like crazy stuff. If you look at the KSIs and Logan Pauls of the world, these guys are crushing it. So that's not a reason to complain, but it is inspiration to try and push your stuff further, especially when, self-improvement isn't the most glamorous thing you can create online versus a video of you topless doing an ab workout or some crazy prank video. So it can be difficult. And for 6 years, I've battled with being relatively unknown and not feeling at times recognized. And I think I felt that a lot in 2018. And I reflected a lot on that. And actually, having been through that process, the solution that I came up with, or the solution that enlightened me, was nothing fancy. It's what you and I already know. But, continue working. Don't compare yourself. And just keep doing what you can with what you have. You can't control where your work goes, but you can control what you put into it. So that, was a really big, I don't want to say lesson because I already knew it, but it was a realization for me, which has actually given me even more conviction to feel okay in, creating this podcast. And I don't care if it gets 50 views or 5,000 views or 1 view and 1 comment. The reason I'm creating this podcast is simply for you. The one who's listening right now, the 2 people who are listening right now on your car journey or wherever you are right now, so that we can create a deeper connection. That's it. Simple. Like, I'm not trying to blow up on iTunes or anything else at this point. Okay, so what are the next steps? Now that I've talked about this first section, well, in 2019, I'm going to be starting a book summary series on my channel, which will be focusing on one big idea from each of the 100+ books that I've read in the last few years. So that's going to be coming to you literally in the next week or so. You will see those. Second goal that I have for the channel, and this is not a sexy goal, it's one that I'm doing simply for giving back value, serving humanity, all those kind of like big jazzy things, is turn my notes from this inequality course that I did into a YouTube series. And I know it may not get massive views. It's not going to make me any money, but I want to share these things because I don't know a single other influencer voice in the personal development niche, in the motivation niche, in this area that I'm in or categorized in, that is sharing that perspective. And I'm really interested in this topic as a whole. Third goal, I'm not going to tell you. I want to keep it as a surprise, but you'll see soon. It's a project that I'm working on that you guys will definitely enjoy. And then reading wise, I actually have 8 books pre-planned that I'm well into as part of the Inner Compass Silver Book Club that I run. So this is part of the Inner Compass course. There also is a membership area, silver level, where you can join a Facebook group, get on monthly calls with myself and others, and we have our own book club. And there are 8 books that I recommend to everyone, and we're reading those together. And each month we're going through these. So there's plenty of books to read. And currently, what am I reading? I just finished Sacred Games, which was epic. Definitely missing that world of fiction. I've just also finished Ask Gary V, epic book, and you'll see the book review on the channel soon. And I'm currently also rereading the complete works of Swami Vivekananda. So that's my spirituality kind of ticked off. So yeah, that's reading and curriculum, guys. So what I'm actually going to do is end today's episode here. I think we've spoken long enough. And in episode 2, I'm going to go through the next 2 sections, which are health and fitness and entrepreneurship. So again, I'll be sharing the good, bad, ugly, the lessons, my thoughts. And in each episode, I'm also going to share the video of the week. Now, this is either going to be a video I've seen on YouTube or I've created on YouTube that has just been my favorite of the week that I've made or someone else has made. And this week, it's going to be a book video that I did with a channel, Motivation to Study, which some of you know me from. And it's the video 5 books every student should read that will change your life. We released that about a week ago, I believe. And yeah, I love working with the guys over at Motivation to Study. So, give them some love. They're very close to 1 million subscribers. So let's give them a little Team KB push to get past that. They're currently sat on 934,000 subscribers. So maybe if we combine channels, I don't know if that would get us there. My maths is not great off the top of my head. I don't think it would. But yeah, favorite video of the week. And the reason I'm going for this one is because they actually set me the challenge of, okay, can you do a kind of top 5 best books? Now, having read hundreds of books over the last couple of years, I was stuck. It took me ages to really refine this list, especially for students. I was asking myself over and over again, what did I need at that time? What do I wish I had read? And we'll talk about my journey as well. So leave your questions for me. Like I said, this podcast is exclusive to you, my subscribers on YouTube, no one else. So leave your questions down below. And I'll definitely answer them in future podcast episodes. But yeah, this is my favorite video of the week. And, the editing is on point. The music is on point. But those 5 books that I recommend, they really had a huge effect on me in one way or another. And every single time I've recommended them to other people, they've also had a similar effect. So go check out that video. If you do check it out, comment in the comment section, Team KB or something like that, or I came from the podcast. So I know that's where you came from, and I can show you some love as well. But thank you for tuning in to this first episode. I'm really excited for the guests, like I said, that we're going to have on. I'm excited to share the next 2 sections of the review. And like I said, if you want to find out more about your personality and whether you are a shipwrecked castaway, a dabbler, or a master, go and head over to keshavbhatt.com/quiz. And if you want to read the written version of my yearly review, same website, click on blog, and you will see my yearly review there. So until then, accept only the best and nothing less. Dream like you are a god. Imagine anything is possible. Dream as much as you can. Think of wild, crazy things. And then command over your life like you're a king or a queen. And every day, work hard like a slave so you can have, do, achieve, be anything. So this was Keshav Bhatt. This was the first episode of the podcast. And I'll see you in the comments section and also next week. Peace.